presidents and vice presidents.
I'm Olivia Mejia, and I'm a vice president.
Okay, great. And is everybody okay with being recorded?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
They're being recorded.
This is for the president's group, is that right?
Yes, the president's group.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure. I'm a retired teacher, and one time I was doing my back to school night presentation, and I'm with kindergarten, and partway through the person realized that they were in the wrong room. They were supposed to be in another classroom learning about a different grade. So I didn't want anybody to be, oh, wait, I mean to be learning about being the secretary or the treasurer, the spiritual advisor.
So if you
Teachers
taught
became expert
kindergarten,
last year.
if you taught kindergarten, is this pretty similar, same type of behaviors?
Yes, I feel like all the things you learn in kindergarten can be transferred to almost every other situation. What I did was I'm just going to do the sharing of the screen so you guys can see the, the agenda of what we're going through. And also, within that, I just put in all the materials that I wanted to share. So I didn't have to like switch back and forth because my Zoom skills are very, very low. So I thought I put it all in one because I couldn't be switching back and forth from things. And I feel like between all of us, we're from, Contra Costa County is a really big county, and we have a lot of variety within the St. Vincent de Paul conferences. And the conferences are all kind of set up to meet the particular needs of their parish. So there's a lot going on. So I thought before we start, actually, I wanted to have people tell us about where they, what their situation is. And I can start. I'm from St. Mary Conference, and I joined the Vincentians in 2018. So I'm pretty new to all this. I was surprised been a president for a couple of years now. I was surprised when Stephen asked me to be the presenter. I don't feel like I have like years of experience or anything, but here we are. So that's it. And we at St. Mary, we run a food pantry mostly. We're in Walnut Creek, and we are open every Thursday afternoon. And we also have some friends that will reach out to us for like rental assistance, utilities, cars, other financial assistance. But we're mostly focused on our food pantry. So that's what we do, and that's a little bit about me. Does anybody else want to do a quick little information? Somebody be bold.
I can go.
Okay.
I can go. My name is Jose Llanes. I'm just elected president like a month ago in St. Isidore's parish. We also run a pantry there, and we assist people that come walk in, or we receive calls for them, and so that's pretty much what we do there. And we try to assist financially some of the other conferences whenever possible. We are very fortunate. There is not much really need in our community, but we are able to really assist all the other communities.
Because you guys are in Danville, right?
Yeah, in Danville. Yeah.
So you're doing some twinning, like helping other.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
I should probably say something, but I think everybody knows me. I'm Bob Lyles. I've been a Vincentian for over 15 years. I was president of the Most Holy Rosary Conference for 6 years, and now I'm the district council president, starting my second year. So I'm really here to assist all of you, because as district council president, I don't have much time anymore to go out. I used to do a home visit every week And now I do a home visit or a semi-home visit once every 2 or 3 months, partly because of COVID, but for other reasons. And so I'm relying on all of you to actually go out there and interact with the poor. And I'm here to help you in any way I can do that.
Thanks, Bob. And where is your parish located?
Antioch.
Antioch, okay.
I thought everybody knew where the best parish in the
Yeah, right,
diocese was.
I know. I always remember you did never let us forget that the first word was the or the.
That's right.
My name is Ann Crisp, and I'm at St. Catherine's Conference, and I've been a Vincentian since about 2018 also, but I've always been interested, but it was, there were conflicts, or I didn't know I could do things other than go to the meetings, and they were during work time. But we run a pantry, and during COVID, we really started, we used to just have people coming through and checking them off and giving them a bag of groceries. But during COVID, we started calling people and telling them we were open and giving them a time to come. And that telephone contact, we've been really happy with, but we've discontinued it, but frequently, and people are coming. But we do home visits too, and help with utilities and rental, and have learned the way to use the Hope Conference and Season of Sharing. So
Great. And where's St. Catherine's?
oh, it is in Martinez, and we don't have as many people coming as like in Concord, Queen of All Saints, but we've got, we've got our shit. We've got some.
Okay.
I'm Henrietta from St. Joseph's Parish in Pinole. We do not have a food pantry. Prior to COVID, all of our contacts were home visits. We take calls and then we go out to visit, however, since COVID, we have not been doing home visits, and my conference is very reluctant to start up home visits again, but we want to do that soon. And the way we help is through food vouchers to the local grocery stores. And we've been helping a lot during COVID with rent and utilities, car repairs, twinning with the other conferences in West County.
Okay. Thanks for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Gary Piermate. I'm with Christ the King Parish in Pleasant Hill, and I've been president for, I think 3 years now, effectively 3 years. And I've been with St. Vincent de Paul for about 4 or 5 years. We have a food and clothing pantry that we are open every day from 3 to 4:30, Monday through Friday. We do close on almost any holiday possible because we coordinate with the school. But we don't do any home visits. We don't have a lot of people who would be skilled in that, or frankly, I'm not so sure that they're focused that way. An awful lot of the people that come to us from the Monument Corridor, and oftentimes speak Spanish. And most of us don't speak Spanish. We have 2 or 3 that do. It's been very effective even through the COVID crisis. It's kind of astounding how contributions kept coming in and how volunteers worked together to make sure that we stayed safe and kept not only ourselves safe, but our clients safe. It's certainly been a very rewarding experience.
Thank you.
Hello, good morning. My name is Olivia Mejia. I've been a Vincentian since 2005. I work with my church is St. Mark's, but I started working with St. David Pantries, and that's when I met Jobette and Bob. I've been with it, and I'm a trained to be a vice president. I just got elected last week.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you.
My name is Carol Brazil, and I'm with St. Callistus Conference in El Sobrante. We have a food pantry that we serve twice a week on Monday and Thursdays. We, whoever comes our way, we give them food. We have our pantry set up in the courtyard outside at the church. And thank God, none of my volunteers or myself have gotten sick throughout the COVID, and we stayed open. We do also home visits, but with COVID, we were doing our home visits in front of the church, sitting on a bench and just talking to the people face to face with our masks outside. We twin with Henrietta and Larry and Ron. So we keep really busy. Our food line of people has grown and the donations have dwindled. We're not getting as much food and other stuff from Target. We get 3 times a week from Target, and the donations have really gone down. Panera Bread has gone down. The food bank has been pretty steady, but the people have increased and our donations have gone down. The actual food parishioners have been real generous, still giving us money, but everything is getting harder. So about it. I have been president for 2 years. I started with St. Vincent de Paul, I think it was 2011 or 2012 as treasurer. I took a little break because I was taking care of my elderly parents, and they both died. So I got back into St. Vincent de Paul. I think I was a vice president for a little while and then just jumped right into president. So it's been a whirlwind, but I'm very grateful and blessed to be able to do it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess I'm the last.
No, I'm in here too.
Okay. Well, I'm John Knorr. I'm from St. Monica's Parish in Moraga. And we do not have a food pantry. We don't do home visits. And we serve as many people from outside our area that somehow find us. We provide them with food vouchers and gas cards. And we also serve, sometimes there's some broken homes within our own community, and we help them with, sometimes with the bills for their utilities. And we had one family that their house was flooded, and we were assisting them. And other than that, we're a pretty small, tight-knit group, and we do the best with what we have.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ron Smith. I'm with St. Jerome's in El Cerrito. And I went on my first home visit when I was 15 with my mom at St. Mary Magdalene's in Berkeley, delivering food to some family. And it was a good example that my mom set. I don't think women were even allowed in the place at that time, but she was doing it after work as a single mom, taking food. And I've been in actively in about 5 or 6 parishes. I've been president a couple of times, and I worked for St. Vincent de Paul of Alameda County for 10 years as a kind of a helper around all the different conferences, helped start up about 10 or 15 conferences in Alameda County. So I've been lucky to have experienced the poor in all sorts of different situations, and been in a wide range of parishes. I've been the only English-speaking person in the parish where all the members were Spanish, and I had to have a 4-year-old interpreting for me. And working with different priests, all different struggles you have. My wisdom, if that's what it is, or experience, is that I just got to remember to trust in God and let Jesus show you the way, and go follow your heart and try to do the right thing no matter what the situation is, and stay at peace with the different conference members that sometimes want to do things differently, or outside of the way we do stuff. So I'm always learning. It's a good experience, and I try to be inspired by St. Vincent and the early St. Vincent people, Osnam and all those guys. They were a bunch of 20-year-olds in the middle of a cholera epidemic going out and making home visits. So when I feel like, well, we got the pandemic going on here and I don't want to go to the scary part of town or something, I just remember those students back in the 1830s going into places where people were dying of cholera and stuff, and they just went out there and were the face of Jesus. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing.
I'm Frank Manuck, and I'm the new president of St. Joan of Arc Parish in San Ramon. I was vice president for the last 6 years. I'm also the administrative support person for the Council for Seattle Database. St. Joan of Arc is kind of unique. We don't have a food pantry, but we do, in conjunction with the Knights, we collect food once every other month and deliver it directly to those families that we've identified that need that food. We have continued to serve our friends even during the pandemic. We've been very fortunate that some of us felt comfortable enough to do that. And again, like others, we didn't meet within their apartment. We basically met them outside somewhere where we were safely distanced and still do that. We have some of our members participate in the Hope Conference, which hopefully you're all familiar with Hope Conference. And we have volunteers that go out to the stores and they help sort the clothes and price them, etc. So we're quite involved. We also twin with some places that we know need our assistance. That's pretty much it.
Okay, thanks for sharing.
So my name is Pat Walsh. I'm the president, the founding president of the St. Anthony Conference. I've been in my position 4 years. Our conference is 4 years old now. Oakley is way out in the eastern part of Contra Costa County. It's very interesting. It's sort of a red-blue dividing line, where in some half it's suburbia, and then the other half it's farmland and farmers. So it creates an interesting mix in our community. We run a food pantry on Saturdays because when we started our conference, all of us were still working, are still working even now. And so we all have 9-to-5 jobs, and then we do the St. Anthony thing, the St. Vincent de Paul thing in our spare time. We have a significant number of people in need in our community. Just yesterday, I myself personally picked up 5 new neighbors who needed help. And we have a phone-in system and call it. And Bob Lyles inspired me because he said they had so many at a certain point, they had like a 25-day waiting period. So that means they were all picking up a lot of people every day. So we try to emulate that, and we try to pick up as many people as we can to help. And we do most of our helping at night or on the weekends because that's when we're not working. And I also would like to say that being part of St. Vincent de Paul is a blessing in my life. And being here and listening to you and learning from you is a blessing for me. So thank you for what you do, and thank you for allowing me to be here.
You're welcome. It sounds like we have just as I said, it's such a diverse group, a lot of experienced people, a lot of people that have been, and just so many different situations. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen now. Let's hope this works. See how I do it. Let's see. Okay. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let's see if I can, if I get rid of this, is it gonna, well, let's see if I just make it bigger. Maybe that's better. Okay, there we go. We just finished the introduction. We're gonna do, my next thing is communication. Already I can tell by all of our introductions that you guys got that down, the communication down. And something that's very important is that you are like the person that is the conduit really between the district council and all your conference members. So it's important, for instance, to attend like the the district council meetings, so you can share what's going on with your conference, and you can get information to share with your members from that. Also, it's important to do when you're making decisions within your conference, it's important to try to go for consensus. Sometimes you can vote on things, but it's good to talk it out with everybody, see what, if they're for it, why, if they're against it, why, whatever decisions you need to make. And it's important to make time to listen to people. I feel like both your conference members and your neighbors in need or clients. I think that schedules are helpful too, to keep everybody, so everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing. And I feel like the essential part about when we're doing things is the spirituality, service, and friendship. Those are like the key things. If you look in the rule book about St. Vincent de Paul organizations. I have here, just because I said that schedules are helpful, I always find it helpful for myself when I'm learning something, if somebody shows me an example of something. So it's not, the examples I'm showing you are just stuff that we use at St. Mary that's for us. So it's not like something that you would do the exact same thing, but you could kind of get the gist of what I'm talking about. So we do a food pantry. This is our October, this is our October schedule. And it just says who does what on what day. And then I have all the people that are on it, all the people that are on this schedule, I have them in an email group. And then once a month, I send it out. And then, whenever people can't, put in substitutes, change things around as needed. Just be sure, and as I'm going through this, I don't think it's good to wait till the end of questions, because nobody's going to remember that. So if you have a question about something that I'm talking about or have a comment to add, just do it. The next area that I was going to talk about was conference meetings.
Barb, I have a question.
Yes.
When you said Safeway pickups, what do you mean?
Say that again.
For the food pantry. When in your schedule, when you said, for example, Safeway pickup, what do you mean?
Oh, okay.
By
so that at our pantry, we have several stores that give donations for us, but they don't come to the pantry. So we have people that have like pickup trucks or bigger trucks, and they go. So for instance, on Tuesdays, Joe Flanagan drives to Sprouts at 10 o'clock, and Sprouts has some donations for us for St. Mary Food Pantry. And so he goes into the back of Sprouts area and he gets our donations, puts it in his car, and then drives it to our pantry. And then we have some folks that are there on Angela and Mavis are there, and they help unload the car and put the stuff on the shelves. Okay. So he does that every week.
You coordinate that with the manager of the store, or?
Yes, this was actually, most of this was in place before I became the president. So I don't believe, I think you have to go through the council. I don't think like an individual conference can just go to a store and say, hey, can you start donating to me or whatever? I think it has to be through the conference.
I don't think so.
Okay. No?
My conference never went to the district council and we got stuff. Most of them, you just go directly to a store in your area and talk to them.
Okay.
Mm,
Well, we
Okay.
also, for instance, if you go to Target or Sprouts, you also do it through, that's also run through the food bank because you have to report every week. If you see, let's see, it used to be somebody else, but now it's me on Thursdays, Barb Erickson to file weekly report to food bank. You have to tell them how many pounds of stuff of different categories you get from Target and Sprouts. You need to report it to themealconnect.org. So that's something, and that's run through that. So that's why I was thinking, at least from Target and Sprouts, it has to be something possibly through the food bank or the council. Safeway is not, and neither is White Pony. And White Pony delivers to us.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And then they want us to meet twice a month at least. Some people meet once a week. It just varies, but the minimum is like twice a month. And I find it helpful. They suggest it. I learned at the president's training that when I took it, that you're supposed to send out an agenda and invite everybody. And I use the rule as a guide. We just have this is my real technical thing, this little booklet, the rule. And at the district council meetings, they were reading from the rule, and I thought it would be good to do it also at our conference meetings. So we do that as well. And so this is one of our meetings in September. This is just something I sent out to people so people would know what was going on. And I keep this as a template. So, I just change it for what's happening. And sometimes for our roll call, we'll do some kind of like fun question and people go around and answer the question. So you just learn a little bit more about the people you're with. And if you have somebody who's feeling a little bit like they don't feel like they really want to be a spiritual advisor, that's challenging. It's the St. Vincent de Paul organization as a whole gives out spiritual readings and reflections, and the person can just run off the copy of that, and you can read the stuff and people can help read it, and the reflections are within it. So it really gives a lot of support to somebody who might be feeling like they might be challenged to be the spiritual advisor. And same with the minutes for the secretary. If somebody is feeling like it might be hard for them to be the secretary, there's a template for what information you're supposed to put down in the minutes. So I thought that could support someone. There is, I don't know, Steve, I think sent it out to everybody who's a president, but there's a conference president's little book. It's not too thick. It has stuff to help you be, in your presidents. I got the information that I'm sharing now, though, I got from that. And you can see that I did, for this one, I happen to have been to a district council meeting. So I take the agenda from the district council meeting and I share it with the people in the conference. And then we happen to have one of those prayer boxes that was offered, that you can get. And so if our clients put in prayers or our conference members do, we take that out and we read those. We read what they wrote and then pray. For the treasurers, there's both the Seattle database, and there's also lots of forms for people for like doing quarterly reports and things like that. We discussed clients. We'd also gotten an email like from Steve that he wanted conferences to help support the Rotacare clinic in Pittsburgh, where the main St. Vincent de Paul office is. There is there's volunteer doctors and nurses and staff that come in and help clients there, and they're there in the evening. And so they provide these people dinner. So they asked conferences like, you know, once a year or whatever to do it. So we're going to be doing that at the end of this in a couple weeks. And so I just asked my conference, do you guys want to help out with this? And they said, sure. And I said, okay, we could either like, you know, make potluck food and bring it. That was one of the choices. Or we can order like from a restaurant and you know, people can donate money and we could do it that way. Or you can give them like a DoorDash gift card or whatever. So we just discussed this amongst ourselves and what they wanted to do. And we worked that out.
I have a question.
Yes.
How long are your meetings, or what's recommended?
I try to do it for about an hour.
Okay.
Because if just I myself, all the years in kindergarten, I have a very low focus, you know, attention. I have to get going and do something. It's just hard to do that. And we have kind of we have a large group of people, but we don't have that many that come to the meetings. I'm trying to encourage them. I bring treats.
How many do you have coming to the meeting?
We probably have like maybe a dozen.
Oh, well, that's a lot.
And we have like, that's like less than half of our people.
But you can keep the meeting to about an hour and have these discussions. I mean, that's what I feel like we're not really discussing things. We're just giving information.
Right.
And I know my people want the meeting to be like just an hour long, but it doesn't.
Right.
I think it needs to be something. Okay.
Well, for instance, we get input after the spiritual, you know, like I said, even for the roll call, I have people go around and say something. So they're not just like listening to me talk. Like this presentation I'm giving to you guys now isn't what I feel like the most ideal because I'm just I'm just getting through a bunch of stuff. At least you can ask a question as we're going through, which is nice. But for instance, when it comes to something like client Kenya, I'll say, okay, this is a person we met with, let me share, or whoever went to share, whoever's, you know, different people say things, share, what do you think and by the way, just to let you know, I just want to interject right now because I'm hearing it in the background. Naturally, workers had to come right today at this time on the other side of that door. So if you hear something, if you hear things in the background at my house, I'm sorry. Anyway, we present, you know, information about Kenya, and then we'll say to people, so do you think we, you know, this is what we were thinking about doing. What do you think? You know, people bring up questions and comments and concerns they have. So we can make a decision on whether we're going to go forward on that. So we do that. I also, sometimes since we just meet twice a month, and that's not always enough time, you know, sometimes what people need is sooner than that. So I'll send out an email to the officers and say the same thing I would do at a meeting, which is, this is this person and this is their needs. What do you think about? And then I see what all the officers say about helping that person or about doing whatever we're going to do if we can't bring it up at a meeting. If so, I'm not just doing it myself. And sometimes the meetings go a little bit longer. And we've been meeting, we were meeting on Zoom for a while. Now we're meeting outside. We're not meeting in the pantry yet. We're still meeting outside because it's kind of close inside the pantry. So there's been some, but at least we're in the shade. It's been kind of hot sometimes, a little windy. Now we'll see what happens if it ever rains again or if it gets cold and we're not meeting.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Anybody else have anything to say about conference meetings?
I can make a couple comments.
Sure.
A lot of time, like if your conference is a bunch of older retired people like myself,
Uh-huh.
everyone wants to have everything happen during the daytime. They don't feel comfortable going out at night. So
Right.
years ago, my conference met like on Monday nights in the little St. Vincent de Paul room. Now we give away food every Wednesday morning from 10:30 to 11:30. People before that, we go out to about 4 or 5 stores and bakeries and things and get their stuff. A note on the picking up, you can go to any place, but you'll realize if you do this for a while, like if there's a Lucky's or a Safeway or a bakery or something, they're getting people from different churches picking up usually every day, 7 days a week.
Right.
And so the way you sneak in there is you get your name in a store that they say, well, we're all covered. So you give them your number and you say, if they don't show up on Sunday or Saturday or whatever day you want to pick up, like say we'd want to pick up on Wednesday because we don't want to store all this produce, So you say, we're available to pick up on Wednesday mornings, give us a call. And here's my number. And so when some church or something doesn't show up, they call you. And pretty soon you become a regular there. So you can go to all sorts of places. And then on our meetings, we have a meeting. It never lasts more than an hour. People have a fit if they, so we pretty much guarantee it. We have about 25 members and about 20 of them attend the meeting because that's when we're giving away food. And when you're giving away food or you have a lot of people, like 20, you want to keep everybody busy. So I love to bag up food and hand it out and stuff, but I try never to do it because I want every single person there to feel when they come, they're doing something. And the people that you trust that are old timers, talk to them about backing off and letting the newbies come in and do it, because if you don't get them hooked on doing stuff, they'll walk away. That's just advice from years of, if you have volunteers, you got to get them busy or they walk away. Okay, so that's enough for me, I guess.
No, that's good. Okay, my next thing is the officers. With the vice, so some of you were going to be a vice president, which is great. And it's just important, I feel like, as a president, to remember to share the responsibilities. Like, excuse me, I forget your name, but you were just spoken and you said people don't need to do stuff to feel needed. And if one person is doing everything, then that person will burn out and other people. So I think it is very important to share responsibility. And I'm sure different conferences have different things going on. Like some places probably need more volunteers. Some people are probably like, okay, we need to find something for these people to do. We have a person, there's just so many different people that do things. We have a person that person's job is thank you notes. So when people donate to St. Vincent de Paul, she has the stationery or whatever, and she gets the list and she writes thank you notes from home. That's what she does. And like I said, there's people that are stocking the shelves. So there's all different jobs that people can do. But with the president and the vice president, it's important to share responsibilities. The treasurer, make sure you add yourself to the bank account along with the treasurer and another officer, and work on the quarterly reports together. And and you can find the forms that you need in the Dropbox. And that's a good tool for you to use when you need things. Is everybody familiar with that? Anybody have any questions about, okay. Because Bob
I
is a
do-
real expert at the Dropbox.
I do have a question. Are all these forms that people are saying are available, templates, et cetera, are they all in the Dropbox?
The quarterly reports are, but I don't know about the spiritual advisor things. I got that separately from Steve, not just me personally, but all the presidents did. And the secretary's one I found on the St. Vincent de Paul, the national information.
Thank you. Thank you.
My goal for this year is to, well, we're thinking about migrating to SharePoint, but until we do, my goal is to have everything in the Dropbox and everybody know how to access everything. So if you go to Dropbox and you can't find a document, you tell me and we'll get it in there, and we'll hopefully we'll put it in a place or multiple places so people can find it easily. And every time Steve keeps sending out documents to the presidents and saying, here, here's something you need to know. Here's something you need to know. And I keep telling them, did you put it in the Dropbox? Claudia sends out documents. Did you put it in Dropbox? Everything, any document that Steve or Claudia sends out has to go in the Dropbox, because we have so many presidents and presidents turn over so fast, and the president may file them on their computer, but where's somebody going to find it, a little bit down the road? It's got to be in the Dropbox, so we all working off the same thing. At least that's my thought.
Can I add on this thing with, you got to cross-train people. I was in a conference, the president died, the vice president had a heart attack, and the treasurer had a stroke, all in a 2-week period, and no one knew how to do any of the jobs. So the pastor said, Ron, you're in that St. Vincent de Paul, you're the new president. And suddenly I didn't have any of the information on any of the stuff. So it's good if you got a treasurer and they've been doing it for 10 years and you love it, you still need to have a couple people that can step in and do all the stuff. And that goes for all the different people. You want to cross-train, you have more than one person to be a spiritual director, and go on and on and on. Don't have the priest be the spiritual director. You want 2 or 3 people to know that job so they can fill in at the meeting when they're not there. And that goes for all the different offices. Thanks.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I've noticed a lot of conferences now, they have an assistant treasurer, assistant spiritual advisor, assistant secretary, So it's always like you have the president and the VP, and the VP is supposed to be able to step in, but all too often the president just does it on their own, and the VP isn't ready to step up. But a lot of places have decided, you know what? The organization, the age of the people in the organization is up there, and sometimes they just like to go on vacation for a month, someplace. And so it's best to always have somebody else around.
A comment on that point, Ron, is that we have co-secretaries, and I must admit, I like the straightforwardness of the word co, because they share it when people go on vacation. It's a non-issue. Suddenly, the job is not as much of a burden because there's someone else sharing it with you. Part of the thing of an assistant is it kind of gets one person off the hook. And I think in some respects, it's better when they both see themselves as doing the job. But it's just an experience I've had recently, watching our secretaries work so well together, covering for each other, and instantly picking up the job and running it at a moment's notice. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that's great. I found this to be true when COVID hit. Our group of like 30 people, and when people that were 65 and older were at our higher risk. So I thought it would better, shouldn't be out like working. So that left like 4 of us that were under 65, And when I came to be president, it was a fairly well-oiled machine. Everybody did their job, so I didn't like insert myself. And you know, I before COVID, I went on runs with them so I could kind of see what it was like, but I wasn't like thinking I was ever going to be in charge of it or doing it. And then COVID hit, and suddenly people were either they took themselves out or their adult children told them they couldn't work anymore at the pantry. And or there was like a 92-year-old guy who's like, no, Barb, I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I got to bench you. I felt weird doing that, but I felt like it was my job to make sure I didn't lose anybody during COVID. So I was like, sorry, dude, you can't come. And so what I did was I called all these people and asked them to run it by me. Like, so what's the first step? Pretend like I know nothing. And they ran it through it. So I have this binder, like how to do a Safeway pickup, how to do with this, how to do with that. What do you do? So all the different jobs have a really simple how to. And then I got school families because a lot of people weren't working their regular schedule to help in the parents to and some of the older kids to help in do stuff for the first few months of COVID. So that I know exactly what you mean. Like if somebody can't do something and suddenly you have to do it and you have no idea what do they actually do. So that's
One thing nice about the Seattle database is it has a document section. And you can put all those how-to documents in the document section there. And so that's going to be there. It doesn't matter who's president, who's secretary, who's treasurer, that stays there, and everybody in your conference can access it. So that's a good place to store conference documents.
If St. Joan of Arc, our Seattle database, my documents section is absolutely jam-packed with stuff. So people don't have to carry around a 3-ring binder with all the paper and everything else. They can, with their cell phone or tablet or the computer, whatever, they can all access that, and it's all available to them. Reference materials, agendas, forms for Seasons of Sharing and Hope Conference, etc. So it's all available right there in that document section, and there's no limit to what you can put in there. So it's really, as Bob says, that's really a great resource.
And I feel that the other presidents in other conferences can even help you out. Like I've called other presidents multiple times to ask them about how to do something or whatever. They said, oh, this person's really good at this. They'll call, contact you. So I've had a couple different conferences help me out when I was trying to figure out how to do stuff. So that's good. A real person resource is good, as well as like documents. Does anybody have anything else, any other comments on officers and what they do or how it works? Okay, I didn't know how experienced people have been. I remember when I first came, I'm like, oh, a quarterly report, and boom, I was like having to do it, didn't even know what it was. So this is just our quarterly report, one of ours, just a page of it. Or do I have, hopefully I didn't do oh, there we go, several pages of it. And then, oh, there's the form about the one for the secretaries. And this is just the opening prayer. I have these in back to back, so it like has this funky copy here, but we have it in, I just put it in a sheet protector and we pass them out. So we do this, that there's the opening and closing prayer for the meeting. Oh, and this is what that reflect. This is not the whole document, because that would have been like way too much. But I always find sometimes if I saw this little thing, then when I'm looking through the Dropbox or any other place that has tons of forms, I'm like, okay, this is the thing I'm looking for. It looks like that on the cover or whatever. It could be helpful. So that's where it is.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
As of right now, the Seattle base, I think I'm the only one on there. Actually, I think my vice president can get on there, but I don't think she ever does. So if
Uh-huh.
I wanted to add my secretary to get on the Seattle base, do I need to go through an administrator to do it, or I can do it? Or how do we go about getting another officer on there?
Is there an administrator in your conference that's on the database? No?
I guess it would be me.
Okay, if you call me, I will be glad to help you take care of that. Not a problem. And I'll show you how to do it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So maybe you can put your name and phone number in the chat. Then she can,
Go to any post office. I'm on the bulletin board.
What? I'm most wanted. Okay, I need your name and phone number. I know you're Frank, but that's about all I know.
Well, the other thing in the Dropbox is it's got a membership. There's a folder called membership, and it's got the membership list of all the conferences, and it has everybody's name, and for most of at least the officers and stuff, it has their phone numbers. So you can always find it
and email.
in email.
Okay, overwhelmed.
Right. Well, he could probably, I don't think he'll mind putting his name and phone number in the chat. I don't know if he does then, but
But then just send an email to Bob Lyles and he responds very quickly.
Okay, Bob, you're on the hook. Yeah, because I'd like to get my secretary to be more familiar with the Seattle base, because I see her as a future president someday.
Our secretary is the administrator of our database. So
Okay, I think I am. Yeah. I have a lot of people that love to volunteer giving out food, and that's about all they want to do. They don't want to do the officer stuff. And I have a couple people that don't even have computers or smartphones. They have no clue. So I'm limited to the
Right.
folks that want to help with the administration part of this volunteering.
You're not alone in that regards.
Good.
That's the way most conferences are.
Oh, good. Yeah, and we have meetings that are twice a week when we meet to give out food. We're a small group, we're a core group, and everybody shows up twice a week. We pray before we give out food. We run anything by that's going to happen in the near future. So we're not that big that I need to make up a binder on who does what. Everybody does everything. So, but some good ideas. Thank you.
I have this one on clients and neighbors in need, and you know, it's best to meet in person when possible. And a lot of people were sharing how they dealt with it during the pandemic, you know, doing it by phone, being out in public places, you know, things like that. You did what you had to do to make it work. It's good. You have to go in twos if you're meeting in person. Important to say a prayer before you meet. And okay, this is going to sound crazy right now. I have to take a moment break. My doorbell just rang 3 times. Now my phone is ringing. I feel like maybe one of the workers got locked out and my husband isn't here. So talk amongst yourself. I'll be right back.
Well, I want to add a couple of things, important things. Now, I talked about Dropbox. The other important thing I want to talk about is that we do not the district council does not have the email address of every single person in the conference. Some conferences have sent it to us. Some conferences, the people say, I don't want the district council to have my email. I don't want to get their stuff. And so we don't have their email address, and that's fine. But at times we do need to send out stuff to everybody. So when Steve emails out that monthly newsletter, we cannot reach everybody in your conference. And in conferences, people come and go all the time, and we can't keep track of everybody in your conferences. We're relying on you to forward to your conference members stuff that Steve sends out. Okay, so I'm trying to press on Steve and Claudia now. When they send something out, there's got to be three things. They got to send it to the president and the vice president, because sometimes the president isn't around, okay? And sometimes the vice president's not around, but send it to two officers. For some things, it goes to the president and the treasurer. So we need to send it to two people, and one of those people needs to take on the responsibility of forwarding, if it's appropriate. Not everything's appropriate to go to everybody in the conference, but you can make the judgment on that. Forward it to everybody in your conference. And I know some people don't have email. We have that in my conference. Some people don't have email. So sometimes I print them out and I drop them off at their house. You know, sometimes it's like, oh, okay, at the next meeting, I'll give them a copy of it. But we need to pass on information to everybody in the conference. And when they send it out, they need to put it, Claudia and Steve and me, we need to put it in the Dropbox so people can refer to it later. That's the main thing. Let's get this communication right. When things go out, you are the key to communicating with your Vincentians, the stuff we send out. That's all I got to say. Now, back to Barb.
Well, I thought that the monthly newsletter that just it got started within like the last year is absolutely excellent. It has, you know, all the stuff going on in one place, and it has live links. So when you need to do something, you can click on it and it's there. So I really like the monthly newsletter from the council.
Well, Brian and Steve needs to take all the credit for that. Not me at all. They do all the work putting that together.
Well, it's great. I like it. Okay, so we're saying a prayer before we meet. Make time to listen. That's always challenging. I like want to find out from the person, okay, what do you need? Okay, how are we going to do it? Okay, there we go. Okay, bye, see ya. And a lot of times, you know, people need to talk. And I don't know what your experience have been with clients and neighbors in need, but it's sometimes challenging to listen to what they have to say and to do that and to be a good listener. For myself, that's a challenge I have. And we're also trying to focus on ways to give people a hand up rather than a hand out. And sometimes that can be really hard at like our pantry. These same people have been coming for like 10 years to get food. Nothing has really changed for them. It's the same people coming. And it's not a problem necessarily that I'm going to solve by myself or anything, but I look for ways. I look for ways to try to give people a hand up rather than a handout. And I talked about this before, discuss a plan with the conference or with officers to decide how your conference is going to help the client. And I don't know how, some of you have had a lot of experience, so I feel like I might be talking about things that are obvious to you, but if you're new, you might not have ever heard these words. And I was like, what is twinning when I first became the president? And twinning is when one conference, if you have a client or neighbor in need that needs like $2,000 in rent or something, and you guys have like $500 in your treasury or whatever that you can spare, then you can cast out a net to nearby conferences and say, hey, does anybody can anybody help twin? And, you know, maybe few other conferences have some money and they can send your way to help your conference. So that's what twinning is. And we have helped. There's somebody in this group that's what they did. Their conference, the person in Moraga, it sounds like they do a lot of twinning to help other conferences because they don't have that many clients themselves. So that was nice to know. And then I heard another person say they had more and more people coming and they don't have enough food and they don't have enough monies. So make sure that they know that they can ask other conferences that be willing to help. Our conferences has helped people. I was so surprised during the pandemic how much our Fifth Sunday collection was still getting money, and people gave their time and their food, came and wanted to help. People wanted to help if they could, because they knew that other people were in need. So you never know if you don't ask. Okay, parish relationship. I forget, sometimes I write just really direct. I'm like, oh yeah, the pastor is the boss. Ask permission, share information, keep him in the loop, okay? And that should help keep a good relationship. And we at St. Mary, we enlist the parish, the school, the youth group, faith formation, Bible study groups, or whatever they to help us out doing different things. So that's something that you could do too. And I find with the parish bulletin, I feel like if the fifth Sunday is the Sunday that we get the St. Vincent de Paul donation, that like right before that is a good time to put a little blurb in your parish bulletin, letting them know what's going on at your pantry, and maybe snap a few photos. Okay, so it doesn't have to be anything long or anything like that, and you send it to the secretary at the parish and they'll put it in the bulletin for you. At least that's how it works at ours. And so I just threw in one that I had done, and things like, we had 654 people visit the pantry, which was, including their families, was 1,946 people. That was in the last 3 months or whatever it was. And it explains what we're doing, and because you're within the parish, you might realize, like I myself know, okay, well, I go to the 9 o'clock mass and I know the people that sit around me, but I don't know what's going on. I don't know I don't have any kids in the school. I don't know what's going on in there, or whatever. There's all kinds of things going on, and you kind of only know your own little space. So
can I share a brief story, Mark?
Yeah.
So our parish is not a very wealthy parish.
Right.
And for the pandemic, our priest discontinued the second collections. So there have been no second collections for over a year. So August,
you have no income.
Pardon?
So your group has no income.
Well, so let me finish my story. So in August, I went to the priest and said, hey, there's 5 Sundays this month. How about we try a second collection for St. Vincent de Paul? And he said, great idea. Then I said, how about you let us, after communion, speak to everybody the week before and let them know what's coming? And he said, great idea. And so then you get your best public speakers to speak at every single mass on the 4th Sunday and say, next week's collection is going to be for St. Vincent de Paul. And we did 2 things. 1, we shared data. And then 2, we had each group share a personal story about somebody they were helping. Right. And I went by the church yesterday and got a check for $6,000.
Wow.
And so, so I would recommend, I understand the value of the bulletin as a tool of communication.
Right,
But we got another 5th Sunday this month.
right.
And so you might want to consider talking to your priest, and on the 4th Sunday after communion, asking if you could have people speak. And we actually wrote out a little bit, a script. We told them to personalize it, the English and the Spanish masses. And it paid off very well for us. We're very blessed.
That's great.
Another beauty of the Seattle database is that we put out a report, and we include that in the parish flat notes, which tells how many people we help, adults, children, how much we've spent on rent, utilities, food, furniture, etc. And also how many hours and how many miles each of our conference members participated in helping our neighbors. And that really has been very, very effective to help our 5th Sunday collections. We always put it out the week before, just as he just mentioned. But that's something you should also look at in addition to the photos and anything else you want to include. Very good resource, that Seattle database.
And they told, the secretary at the church said, pictures are really good. So I threw in some pictures. And then sometimes the parish has a website. If they do, make sure you have the information on St. Vincent de Paul there. And our parish has a Facebook page too. When I went to work at school, as a teacher, nothing to do with St. Vincent de Paul, but worked there, they told me that forget the principal. The principal might be the boss of the school, but the important person is the secretary and the custodian. And so I have found in almost every place you go, that continues. And for St. Vincent de Paul, I would add the bookkeeper too, at the parish. So those are people that you might need to meet and work with if you don't know them already. They can be very helpful. Okay. Oh, and here's a copy of the thing I was just talking about here. So another thing is the district council. Important to attend the meetings, share the information from the council with the conference, and the monthly newsletter is great. And to encourage your conference members to attend trainings, especially the Ozanam training. Once we get to meet back in person again, a good way to get people to attend the Ozanam training is to volunteer to have it at your church. Then the people are there. They're there. But here's a picture of the monthly newsletter, just one of the pages of it. Look at that. It starts out with Bob Lyles. You're famous. Look at that. And that's it. Do you guys, anybody, I'm going to stop sharing the screen so we can see each other. So stop the share. There we go.
So I have a comment about the newsletter. For those of my people, volunteers that do not have a computer and I can't share it electronically, is it possible to make it where I can print it up with not having the background as a color and just a white background? Because it takes up a lot of ink and a lot of time. It would be nice to be able to print it up where it's not as expensive to print. That makes sense?
That makes sense. And I'll email Steve and Brian about that.
Thank you.
If you can get a
You
black
should
and
be
white
able-
copy.
This is Gary, and I was going to ask or make a suggestion. I hadn't even thought of this. If I were to print out just one copy of it and put it where our food pantry is, then anybody who came in would be sitting there looking at a single copy that they could read. I wouldn't have to mail it. All I'd have to do is print it in black and white if I wanted and just put it there. That works for all the people who work. It doesn't get to people who don't show up at the food pantry, but it's just a thought. Or at your meeting.
So Barb,
Yes.
Do you have information about being the vice president?
It isn't anything, as far as I know, there's no separate training on it because you're supposed to be able to do the same job as the president. So you don't have a separate role per se. I think you just work, the president and the vice president work together. They can talk about like, okay, what job do you want, of all the stuff that needs to be done, you're supposed to, you can divvy it up, whatever you're good at, whatever you have time for, whatever you're interested in, and kind of be able to do each other's job so you can step in if needed.
Yeah, don't be a president of conference like I did. I was doing it all. I was barely keeping my VP knowledgeable of what was going on, and that wasn't the way to do it. You really need to give them assignments and saying, hey, I'm too busy. Just say, hey, I'm too busy right now. I can't take care of this. I need you to write this letter to the food bank and get the food bank grant this year or something like that. Make them submit the food bank grant. Okay. Make them do stuff. Even if you have the time to do it and you could do it in 2 minutes and it's going to take them an hour to figure out how to do it, just ask them any way to do it.
Or you can, like before something comes up, you can say, okay, you can meet together. Oh, guess we're leaving.
My treasurer or secretary does the food bank. So that's also like, because St. Callistus, Carol could have them do those food bank things too. Yeah.
Right. Hey, and
Do we
Ann,
need to
feel
do
free
anything?
to give me a call or email me because we have 30 seconds and then poof, we're going to be back in another place.
We don't need to do anything.
Can you send out your presentation to the rest of us?
Send my presentation?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was recorded.
It's recorded.
Well, it's recorded, but also just the slides,
Oh,
You
just
could always put the slides in the Dropbox.
agenda. Yes.
In fact, Pat Walsh did this training last year, and his presentation is in the Dropbox. If you want to go under training president,
You are good.
Joyce was absolutely terrific.
So I think we're all back because I kicked everyone out of their rooms.
Dropping?
How did I know?
Yes.
Because you can tell by your spirit.
By my what?
By
Your spirit.
Oh.
So everyone, thank you so much for your participation, and I hope it was valuable. If there's anything that we can do to improve these sessions, please let us know. All of the sessions were recorded, so we will be compiling those and putting them up on the YouTube channel. If there's stuff that went over that you want to revisit, etc. So we appreciate everyone's time. Any comments, questions, major concerns, something that just is going to keep you up at night if you don't get them off your chest? Within reason.
Claudia,
like world hunger, all that. Yes. Yes.
Claudia, I wanted to thank you for your assistance.
No problem.
But I was surprised. This is the first time we had some confusion. We didn't have any in the previous meetings. So I don't know what happened, but if maybe we can avoid this situation in the future,
Right.
will be great, because a lot of people was lost, not just
Yes, they were.
Yeah. Yes. And we apologize for that. And we will do our best to not have that happen in the future.
Well, maybe it was like an amazing grace. They were lost and now are found.
Thank you, Jorge. Thank you.
Gloria, you said it's on
Yes.
YouTube. How do I log in on YouTube under what?
Okay.
name?
It's under the St. Vincent de Paul of Contra Costa County YouTube channel. The links to the YouTube channel is at the end of all of the newsletters that we send out. I don't know, Danny, do you get the monthly newsletter?
I just get it recently, but.
Okay, so it's on the last page is the link to the YouTube page.
Okay.
So give us a week or so to kind of gather everything together and get it up there.
Okay.
Okay.
The other thing that's on that last page is there's a lot of resources in the Dropbox on all the different roles, on the spiritual advisor, on the secretary, on the presidents, the roles, and defining some of those things. Make use of those because there's some really good stuff in there.
Yeah, the link to the Dropbox is there as well.
So I have a little prayer that I was hoping to read, unless Karen wanted to have something she wanted to read.
No, I was just going to close with intercession. So let's go with your prayer.
Okay. Now, Frank Winook will recognize this prayer. This was a prayer that was that we used at our Bible study, and that was also used at the retreat that we had this last week. It's a prayer for the release of the Holy Spirit. Jesus, I know that I'm yours and you are mine forever. I thank you for sending your Spirit to me, that I might have the power to live this new life in you. Stir up your Spirit in me. Release your Spirit in me. Fill me with your presence and your power in my life, that I might find delight and comfort in prayer. Jesus, release within all of us your Spirit. We desire to love as you love, especially the people you call us to share life with, as well as the weak, the poor, and the needy. We desire to be peacemakers, to be reconcilers, to be able to forgive as you have forgiven us. We desire to be your hands, your heart, your flesh, your spirit, your body of the church. Release within all of us the gifts of your Spirit, so that our lives will reflect your goodness, your truth, and your power, so that together we may experience the peace, love, and joy that you have promised us. Fill us with your Spirit, Jesus. We wish to receive all you have to give us. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
All right, everyone, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Careful for the pending storm tomorrow. Sorry, I mock the weather people. That's just.
Well, Claudia, we can only hope that we get rain.
I hope, I'm hopeful. I really would like to see it.
Is it true that in Walnut Creek they're putting up plywood on the doors of the stores?
I think so. Sandbagging.
Sandbagging.